gonna pass along one baseball thing that I found very, very interesting, and it's the conclusions to this on Fangraphs surprised me. And our friend Ben Clemens wrote a piece at Fangraphs where he was talking about is there a way, he was saying, he explained the whole thought process. Like, one thing in our projection system that we don't, it's really hard to account for is a team's depth. Because with some teams, the depth matters more than others. Some teams rely on their top guys, and their top guys are so damn good. We're talking hitters and pitchers, that it doesn't matter all that much who's on your bench. It doesn't matter if you have a great player, like, well, who's going to back him up? The answer is basically like, who cares? He's going to play most of the time. Like, does anybody, like a Ronald, let's just say the National League's most valuable player last year, Ronald Acuna Jr. He's, I know he injured his knee, in 2021, and I know all that. But he's going to play, and he loves to play, and he's going to be in there all the time. So if you got to put a Shemp out there for 7 or 8 games, who cares, right?
So true.
So Ben Clemens, though, said that, look, all teams are different. So and it's just very difficult for me to explain. But what they're doing, they came up, and they're not putting it into their season projections yet. It's still not ready. But he did a great job of explaining what their objective is and how to account for a team's depth when they go to their projections. And their projections are always fun, and they're always informative. And their projections, not only there, but Baseball Prospectus, all kinds of places. Clay Davenport, they have the Cardinals winning the NL Central. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I think it reflects something that I've been hollering about. It's like all the people that have already dismissed this team for 2024 because they think it's still 2023 or the same players. No, a more objective, neutral view indicates Cardinals, should be in the hunt. And that's all I ask for. That's where you take your step, and then you go from there. Here's what surprised me about this. Now, let me explain it, and I know some of you are going to roll your eyes. I don't blame you, actually, but I thought this was really interesting. So what they did is said, okay, what happens if you start stripping away the top players, and you can do it one by one? Let's say, all right, how's the team going to be, the projected winning percentage, if you take their best player off the team? What about if you take their best 2 players off the team? What about the best 3, best 4, best 5 off the team? What's their winning percentage projected going to look like? And I thought, isn't that interesting? And I mean that. Isn't that interesting? Because if you just say, okay, your best player is, let's say it's Paul Goldschmidt or whoever. That's your best player. Who's your second best player? Okay, let's say it's, let's just say it's Nolan Arenado. All right. Well, you take them off the team. All right, what's your projected winning percentage? All right, take your third best player off. Let's say it's Sonny Gray. What's your projected winning percentage? So here's what surprises me. When you go through this exercise as explained by Fangraphs, and you can go to Fangraphs and read the story. They got charts there for you to look at. The Cardinals actually come out really well in this. This is for all the people that say, hey, they didn't do anything. They didn't do nothing in the offseason. The Cardinals, as you strip their top players away, actually have a lot underneath. And I guess the word I would use is balance. Because they're not they're not as heavily dependent on their top few players as some teams are. All right, I'm going to go through this, and I'll make it real simple. All right, if you take away the top Cardinals player, right? They still would have a projected winning percentage of .514. You take away their top 2 players, they still would have a projected winning percentage of .496. Now, I can hear the people hollering and laughing. Well, what's so good about that? It isn't. But if you take the top 2 players away from other teams, too, the Cardinals with a .496 winning percentage projected without their top 2 players, that actually ranks 11th best in the majors. That's why there's something to this. All right, you take away the top 3 players on the Cardinals, right? The projected winning percentage ranks 6th in baseball. You take away the top 4 players. The Cardinals' projected winning percentage ranks 4th in the majors. Mm-hmm. You take the top 5 players away. Their projected winning percentage is 4th in the majors. It's also, if you take their top 6 players away, their winning percentage is still 4th best projected in the majors. How about if you take their top 7 guys away? The Cardinals' projected winning percentage is 3rd best in the majors.
Wow.
All right, number 8, you take away their top 8 guys, their projected winning percentage is 4th. If you take 9 guys away, their projected winning percentage is 2nd to Tampa Bay. And if you take their 10 best players away, their projected winning percentage, with those 10 guys out of the mix, is 2nd best in the majors to Tampa Bay. Point being, they have more depth than I think people realize, and a lot of that has to do with they've had so many players who can move around, play a lot of different positions. I mean, some of these guys may not be full-time starters, or they might not be capable of playing. You know, is Brendan Donovan, for example, is he a starter anywhere? Is he one of their 10 best players? I think he is, but he's somewhere on the list. But the point is, it's really interesting because when the Cardinals, they have some stars. There's no doubt about it, but they're not heavily reliant on as stars and like big time guys with huge wins above replacement totals as a lot of other major league teams. But if you start stripping away, some of their best players. Oh, they feel the effect, but it's not as extreme as you would imagine. That's all I'm trying to say, because there's more balance. And other teams, you strip away 3 or 4 of those players. Why do you think the Cardinals, like for example, even if you take away the top 5 players, their projected winning percentage would be 4th in the majors. It tells us that their top 5 players are really good, but they're not. They're not where if you lose them, like all hope is over, you're dead. You know, there's enough underneath, and there's enough of like players who aren't necessarily full-time starters, but they're going to be a part of your team and they're going to do pretty well. And and the pitching staff is actually, I have no doubt it's going to be better. And if they have a defense, it's going to be much better. I find it interesting. By the way, not that I can hear you laugh, but if you're laughing at all this, you can. I'm not offended.
No, you're good.
I just brought it up because I thought it was really interesting.
I never thought of it that way because that's why I've been quiet, because I'm like, all right, let me understand this, because I haven't thought about this process, but it's pretty interesting.
It is.
But it's, when you start going through, you go, oh, yeah, you're right. There is a better depth here.
And what's Tampa Bay all about? Depth.
Oh, it's so true.
What's Tampa Bay all about? Their pitching staff. Interchangeable. Heimblum, the Andrew Friedman and the Heimblum way, where they're interchangeable. What you do is you don't throw a lot of money around on one big-time reliever. Well, we're going to go give him $100 million. No. Because they were smart enough to realize you need, during the course of a season, especially with starting pitching breaking down and this and that, you need about 500 relievers, actually. Mm-hmm. And that's an exaggeration, but you need a lot of relievers. So if you put all your money, or a lot of your money, into one guy for your bullpen, when you can spend a good amount of your payroll to have an incredibly deep bullpen, with quality guys and you make them better because you're smarter than the rest, that's much smarter. It's much more intelligent to take that approach. And I think, especially as we're seeing the influence of Chaim Bloom, consultant to management, and hopefully will be the one taking over for John Mozeliak when he decides, when his contract's up after 2025. If you're smarter, and this is what, oh my goodness, it's so many people just still refuse to, they don't even want to understand it, try to understand it, or accept it. One of the great things about the Cardinals through the years under Bill DeWitt is they never had a top 5 payroll. They've stayed in this range anywhere from like 7 to 11 most of the time. And they've won because they get more out of the players they have, not because they pay the players more. And I've said this on the show a lot. For some reason, there's a percentage of the fan base, they consider that evidence of something. Oh, they're not trying to win. What? Because they get more value in terms of performance out of the money that they invest than most of the teams in baseball, and they've done it for more than 25 years. So that makes them terrible with their philosophy? Huh. That's really interesting. I would think that would be respected. But I actually put some thought in this, so I'm a little different. I'm a different kind of cat. I admit it. But if they're going to do this with pitching the way the Chaim Bloom method, which is very successful, this is even another reason why you ain't going to see the Cardinals. Well, you know what? Boris wants $180 million. He wants $190 million for Jordan Montgomery. We better do it. It's not going to happen.
No.
I keep telling other media people that. I keep telling myself that. Never gonna happen. But with the additional expertise of a Chaim Bloom, they're gonna have a chance to build pitching staffs the way Tampa Bay has done for a long time. And you know what? I guarantee you, if they get to that point where that kicks in and they have an excellent pitching staff, but yet their investment, payroll dollars invested in the pitching staff is like 17th or 19th or 20th, people are going to rip that. You know, if they go through a stretch of games where they're 2-7 and the pitching's bad, which happens to everybody, it's going to be, DeWitt was cheap. Just look at how little they've spent on pitching. Again, man, value for the dollar is a concept that is so lost, so lost to too many people. And that also works the other way. We've talked about this ad nauseum. All the money they've wasted when they try to go big,
Oh, so many dollars.
But then people want to throw a knife. They want to throw knives at them when that happens. Well, that was stupid to give him all that money. Well, wait a minute. You all want him to spend money. You want him to throw a bunch of money at like mid-level players just to be able to get them and just to show the fans you're committed. Yeah, when you throw money around like that and it blows up and it's stupid and you get nothing for your investment, yeah, it shows you're committed. It shows you're committed to a place where they'll help you fix your brain. Okay, that's what that means. Anyway, the Cardinals pitching staff, and I don't know when this will be, but if Chaim Bloom starts running this thing, it's going to look a lot like what they were doing in Tampa Bay. And, oh, by the way, again, do a little homework, go to FanGraphs. You can enter whatever years you want. You can run it over a 10-year period and take a look at Tampa Bay's ERA, like where it ranks over 7, 8 years, 6-year, 10-year period. And then go to one of the sports salary tracking sites and then go ahead and tell me how much they spent on that pitching. I'd rather have a smart front office, okay? A really, really smart front office. I'm not like going to sit there and watch dollar bills flying by. And that's the only thing I base it on. Because that's dumb, okay? And it just, time has told us again and again and again with their payroll model, they can be successful because they have been successful. But when they get away from their discipline and do stupid things, then they pay a price for it. And one of the reasons why they hit a lull there, and one of the reasons why actually you got to blame the players a little bit. Well, we can't do that. It's DeWitt's fault because Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, guys like that haven't hit in the postseason. Well, that's his fault, right? 2 highest paid players they have. But one of the reasons they hit a lull, Lull, is because they made some mistakes in payroll. And when you make big mistakes in payroll, you're paying for it. There's a penalty that you pay for it in terms of like it clogging up your payroll. You're not getting enough value for the dollar. And then you're in trouble because you're trying to overcompensate for that. And then you maybe make another mistake like John Mozeliak signing all these relievers, one after one after one after one, and they were all bad for the money. Then, you compound your error. You're chasing your own tail. Why would anyone like that? But nobody hesitates to blast them when they throw money at the time, throw money at relievers who aren't worth it. They'll never live up to the value that's suggested by the investment amount. Everybody loves to tell them how stupid they were after the fact. But these are the same people that then want them to overpay for like an average pitcher. Get the headwires checked, my friends. Get them headwires. They're a little tangled up. Get them checked. Get them babies straightened out. Because you got your headwires going like all too many directions. Anyway, Jim.
The most intriguing thing about this whole process for me is going to be the building of the bullpen. And, Kittredge, we know him, but I'm talking more like, okay, what is Riley O'Brien? What is Ryan Fernandez? Nick Robertson? What are these? Because this is the way they've done, Chaim Bloom's done his business in the past and the way the Rays have done it, because it's desperately needed in today's game and the way the game's played and managed. You have to have lots of arms in your bullpen, especially over 162, the way they're used. And I don't know how many times you and I have been doing this show, especially during baseball season, and you and I may joke off the air probably more than anything. Well, Tampa Bay just picked up some guy nobody's ever heard of from somebody's, scrap heap, and before you know it, in 2 weeks, he's getting guys out, and, you're going, well, he's been around for a month now, and all he does is get guys out. That's when the Cardinals start picking up a few of those guys, then boy, this thing is in full swing. But it's definitely trending that way with the names we just mentioned. And that is a welcomed way of doing business as far as I'm concerned, because I want to see how it works out, and it's got to be better than what they've been trying to do, because that isn't working. They haven't been able to develop some of their own arms, and that's where they're just why we had names like Suarez and others last year, Lawrence, where you went, these guys can't pitch. They were not prepared to have extra arms.
They didn't have the depth.
Yep. So hopefully now they can start building that depth. That's going to be maybe one of the most intriguing things to watch as this franchise tries to fix things.
There's no doubt about it. But, the interesting thing, too, you talk about the Cardinals' payroll, and this is for all pitching, including starters, right? As we sit here today, the guaranteed money that they've committed to pitching is 8th highest in baseball. Do you really have to apologize for that?
That's higher than I thought.
But me too, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
Huh.
It is. I know. It's just kind of interesting. So anyway, I'm going to do a little work. I'm going to find out, like Chaim Bloom, like how much they invest in relief pitching, because that model is going to be hopefully installed in St. Louis.